Hey, Joe Soto here. Now we get to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is eliciting values. And really that's just a fancy way of saying, do you know what's important to your client? Or do you know what's important to your client prospect? Meaning somebody you're potentially going to provide services for, who you're presenting your solutions to. It's very difficult to do that if you don't know what's important to them. And so to help you think about this, different people have a different hierarchy of values, and they have different criteria for meeting those values. And at the very the deepest level, people talk about values being things like, love and companionship and happiness and money and peace of mind, security, freedom. They list all these things among the highest values that they have in life. And the truth is, people have these similar values in business. And when you can help unveil them for the client, and you're the one who's done it, you'll strengthen your rapport, as well as you'll be able to tie something you're doing to what it is you're going to try and solve the problem that they're having. Let me just share with you a short story. Years ago, like literally many years ago, 1997 and 1998, I'm starting to date myself here. I was fairly new out of college. I was a psychology student, and I was working with the Department of Correctional Services, and I was working in the evenings co-facilitating a class for men who had been court-ordered to attend the class, who had beaten their wives or they had some sort of domestic abuse, and they were court-ordered to go to the class to learn how to get better control over their behaviors. And sometimes we had really severe cases. And in one case, we had a gentleman who had hit his wife with, I think, a baseball bat. And, she wasn't actually pressing charges, but the county still put him in detention and then had him go to our classes, released only to go to classes in the evenings that we had them, which was once a week. And the rest of the time, he was still detained. But a lot of times people who've committed crimes like to minimize what their crime is. And when he was having his first class with us, and we asked him, can you share with the group what it is that you did? He said that he had hit his wife. And I said, okay, can you elaborate? Because I'm looking at your police report here, and you did a little more than just hit your wife. He said, well, I hit her on the head with a baseball bat. And I said, it looks to me like she had to have minor corrective surgery and actually had some sort of small plate put in her head because of this. So it was fairly severe. And he says, yes, it was, and he felt bad. And I said to him, let me ask you a question. Now, this is the type of questioning I ask my existing clients today in business. But to make a point, I want to share with you this story. So I said, when you hit your wife in the head with a baseball bat, what was important to you about doing that? And he said, well, I needed to get her to shut up at the time. And I said, well, I appreciate the candidness, the honesty. My guess is that hitting her in the head with the baseball bat was definitely effective in getting her to shut up. And he's like, he's taken back a little bit that I would say that, and just like you might be. And he said, yes, it was. And I said, yeah. I said, so okay, so if you get your wife to shut up, what would that do for you? And he says, well, then, I would know that she's at least listening. I could get her to listen. And I said, does she not listen very much to you? You don't feel? And he says, no, she never listens. I said, okay. I said, so, all right, so my guess is that she might have been more inclined to listen, but if you got your wife to listen more often to you, what would that do for you? And he said, well, I guess then I would know that she actually cared about what I had to say. And I said, okay, so if your wife cared more about what you had to say, why would that be important to you? What would you get out of that? And he said, well, I guess then I would know that if she cared about what I had to say, I guess that would show me that she loved me. I said, okay. So and I'll think about the levels of values here. I says, okay, so if your wife was able to show you more that she loved you, okay, I said, And I know that's probably the end because that's the value. And I said, but let me ask you a question. Do you think that hitting your wife with the baseball bat was the fastest way to get your wife to love you? And he says, no. You see, when you attach that behavior to the most endearing value that somebody has, they don't go together. Because his focus wasn't on the love at the time, or even on the listening and caring. It was just on getting her to shut up so he could have all these other things that actually were rooted in his value. One of the things I've learned a long time ago is that people have positive intentions. Sometimes you just have to dig to find them. And when you're dealing with clients, they will tend to have deep-rooted reasons why they even allow you to even talk with them or have a meeting with them. And you just have to figure out what those deep-rooted reasons or what it is they're valuing so high that they actually want ultimately out of a relationship with you that maybe you could help them on. So if someone says, we just need someone to help us market better, and you say, great, I'm your guy, I can help you market better. That's not where that won't work because that's not putting it together yet. If you say, well, if I were to help you market better, what would that do for you? Now they're going to say, well, we might be able to, that would mean that we're getting more clients. Okay, so if you had more clients, what would you get out of that? Like, what would that do for you guys if you just had more clients? They say, well, we need the right clients, but if we had the right clients, then we're going to probably, that means we're increasing our revenue and we're growing. Okay, so if you're increasing our revenue and you're growing, what's that going to do for you guys? What's the impact is that going to have internally inside your organization or inside your business? Well, that would mean I'd probably have a little more free time. I could hire some people and delegate. I'll say, okay, so you're going to be able to hire some people, maybe delegate, not have to do all the work yourself. It sounds like you do a lot of the work. You wear a lot of hats yourself. And so if you were able to take some of that time, where would you go? Like, what kind of impact would that have on your personal life? And then they may say, well, I'd actually get to take a few vacations. And they go, okay, well, so if you had a vacation with you take a vacation by yourself, with your family, well, I take it with my wife, family, I never get to take a vacation. Okay, so if you were able to take more vacations and have more free time with your wife, knowing that the business was taken care of, what do you think ultimately that would do for you? And they may say, well, I guess I would just be happy. Okay, now they're going for happiness, that's that in value, right? Now, but getting the client to say this is more powerful than you suggesting it. That's the point here. And when you can tie things to, wow, so, now you've got happiness as an in value. Say, okay, so would you agree that for us to be able to accomplish this, we're going to need more than just marketing. We're going to need to sit down and strategically look at this and approach this with the level of seriousness that you would when you started your business. And they may say, yes, okay, great. So now you start tying things to that initial value and say, my goal is to create systems and processes that can help increase your sales and revenue. So that way you ultimately can be able to, and I feed back the values to them. And so that way, my goal is to ultimately do some additional marketing for your business. So that way we can generate more leads and more business that could grow your business. So to a revenue level where you can feel comfortable delegating and sourcing some of the work to maybe some new hires, so freeing up your time so you could be focused on the things that you want to ultimately be doing, which is going on vacation with your family. That's what our goal is. And so I'll feed back people's values and feed back these things when I'm presenting to them or when I come back the second visit and I'm presenting solutions. And because I've asked enough questions and I've dug deep on what it is that's important to them, what's valuable to them. And it may just start with a simple question. What's most important to you about us being able to provide marketing services for your business? Or what's most important to you in 2019 for you to hit your goals going forward? And they would say, well, here's what's important. And then I want to dig deep on that. What's most important to you right now about growing the business, about increasing your lead flow? And then they may say, well, what's most important is that we can increase the quality. Okay, well, if you increase the quality of your lead flow, what's important to you about that? And I'd dig deeper and deeper and deeper into what's important about what it is they're sharing with me until I reach what's called an impasse, where there's nothing less left. It's like their happiness, or they've made a lot of money and now they're free, or whatever it might be. It's like you can kind of tell you're at the end of the line with what you've dug into, But now you at least have more potent information to feed back to them and to reference. So it keeps their eye on the biggest value that's most important to them when they're considering your offer. And that's the real point of this, is how do I present my stuff and present my solutions and share my insights and just talk to somebody in a way that is aligned with what they value most and what's most important to them in their business. And I know this is a little bit more advanced concept. This line of questioning of eliciting values is an NLP strategy, and there's even more to it in future trainings that I do, and I think I'm going to be doing an upcoming event on just NLP and being able to do this on a more advanced level. But at the very least, I think that you have the basis now for eliciting values and getting some of those insights, and hopefully that was helpful.